Good morning, everyone. This is Eni Oszlai, your financial doctor, and I'm so excited to welcome in today's show Mr. Bengt Jörgen. Bengt Jörgen is an amazing director, artistic director of my favorite ballet company, Ballet Jörgen. It's a Canadian ballet company. And basically, since 1987, you are bringing ballet to all communities. Not only that, but since January 2019, Bengt was appointed as a member of the Order of Canada. And you guys have been just giving and giving and giving to communities even throughout the pandemic. I can't begin to thank you, for everything that you are doing. So Bengt, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here chatting with you.
Perfect, perfect. So you have been born in Sweden and you immigrated to Canada and then you started to change the world. Do you mind sharing your journey with us, please?
Yes, I was very fortunate in that my mother loved dance and she put me in dance when I was 4. And when I was 7, I auditioned for the Royal Swedish Ballet School, was accepted into the school, and had a 10-year journey through a state institution, which made it possible for me to dance because it was all paid for. And it was a wonderful journey. And when I turned 18, I did my graduate studies here in Canada. And fell in love with the country, and one thing led to another, and I joined National Ballet of Canada, and I have never left. And of course, today I'm Canadian. I'm very proud of that, and it's just a great country to work in. And specifically for my art form, ballet, it's a welcoming country for ballet, and I find that ballet is evolving and developing here in a really great way. So I found my place at the right time, and that's my journey, and I'm still working on it.
I love it. So tell us about the journey in terms of how did the idea come of actually, creating your own ballet company. And I really must say here, and this is a testimonial, I'm following you guys for the past 16 and a half years, ever since I moved to Canada. And the very first show I saw was actually Romeo and Juliet with Tara Butler, and she took my breath away. And ever since, I got hooked. And just I'm so grateful that you did it. But tell us the journey. How did you come about this?
Well, I started choreographing quite early on, and I wanted to find a place where I could do more creative work than I could as a member of the National Ballet of Canada. And then I realized that it was really hard to work as an independent ballet choreographer because, ballet sort of is a community and it's usually done as a group. So I created a platform to create new works, and from that platform, Canada's Ballet Organ just basically grew out of that because what we did had such resonance in communities. And thank you very much for mentioning Romeo and Juliet. It was our first major full-length ballet except for the Nutcracker, and it was a big step for us. And it sort of has we're identified with that work to some extent simply because it set the tone for what we do, which is to create classical ballet that are very approachable and engaging to contemporary audiences, but still very respectful of the tradition. We're using the language of ballet, but we're speaking to audiences that live today. And from there has grown a number of new great works and an audience that spans the country and, of course, into the United States. And we're really appreciative of all the people that have not come out to support the kind of art that we want to show and share with people.
Absolutely. And actually, I'm going to ask a little more about this because this is important for our audience to understand how you really brought Canada all across North America. But let's talk about first about your experience of actually being appointed as a member of the Order of Canada, because that's huge. So why did you receive these accolades? And tell us more about this, please.
So I think that the work that we've been doing for over 30 years, which is basically making ballet accessible to everyone across Canada, no matter where you live, and also demographically in terms of your age, making ballet approachable to children, as well as for people that don't have a lot of money, so that that the cost of seeing a ballet is not prohibitive. But also geographically, of course, trying to reach every province every year, and particularly the communities that don't normally have access, which is regrettably most of Canada. Outside of our very few largest urban downtown cores, dance and ballet is basically non-existent in many areas. So we have our job cut out for us, but we enjoy it.
I love it. And especially there is actually a saying, you're saying, and I quote, We believe everyone, no matter where they live, should have affordable access to high quality dance. So I believe this is, Canada's Ballet Jörgen mission and existence. So can you elaborate on this, please?
Yeah, I mean, it is exactly what it says. We really do believe within reason. I mean, obviously, there might be some geographic areas where there are just not enough people to support it. But fundamentally, there's no reason in any community that you should not be able to see live, high quality, professional dance. It's just part of, I mean, Canada is rich enough to support that. And there's really no reason. It's important, particularly for young people. I mean, my life was transformed by being able to engage with the arts. And for a lot of people, the arts can really bring enrichment. And even if you don't become an artist, it's something that's really important. And if you don't have the opportunity when you're young to see live performing arts, it's a problem. It's a deficit that we need to make sure, it's rich as we are as a country. I mean, I know that there are other really important parts, that we have to deal with, particularly on the socioeconomic front. But the arts is a big, important part as well. And it's not that we don't have arts in Canada. It's just that it's so concentrated in just a few major urban centers. And it makes no sense to me that we don't make sure that everybody has access.
Absolutely. And we really need to mention here, because you are being very humble about this, but you really have been reaching 253 different communities in Canada alone and 60 in the US. I mean, that's really huge. You really were spanning across, the continent. And at the same time, part of the beauty of what you're doing is that when you're saying that you're bringing it and making it accessible to the community, that you are actually inviting local talents as well in many of your the performances to actually co-perform on stage. So I have been fortunate enough to have seen and witnessed the Nutcracker. You mentioned the Nutcracker, and you were wearing the Nutcracker shirt today. 7 years ago at the Markham Flatto Theater, and for 6 consecutive years, actually, my daughter is performing in it. So I'm very humbled and grateful for you for giving us this opportunity. But I've seen Anastasia as well, and Swan Lake, and so on. And quite frankly, you really, really give back to the communities in many, many ways, not just making it accessible for the audiences, but also to perform. So how did that idea come about?
Well, I think that every professional dancer in any company around the world, at some point, we have the opportunity to participate as children in ballet, because there are a lot of ballets that require children's parts, and it's really a motivating factor. I mean, it's what the highlight of my time at my ballet school was always performing in ballets, and it really helps us understand what it's like and motivates us. And we want to make sure that children, for the same reason that if you live in a smaller community and we come with a major classical ballet, we want to provide the students in that community, dance students in that community, the same experience that we had in our ballet schools. And we've found that many of the dancers that joined Canada's Ballet Jörgen started out as local participants in some community across Canada. So we're seeing that we're actually helping generate more interest in the art form, and people are becoming dancers. And we've had a lot of people, not just from in this company, but other companies around the world, who first were participants with Canada's Ballet Jörgen, and then decided that they really loved it and they want to pursue a career. So we're finding local participants all around the world in companies that were stimulated. And it's very important. And for the same reason, we want to make sure that the communities that we work in, that we're really part of the community. And this is a great way for us to give back. And it really comes back to us anyway, because these kids usually love what they do. And even if they don't become professional dancers, they really fall in love with the art form and support the art form for many, many years to come.
Absolutely. And, this is just an added inspiration, not only for, the families, but also everyone else to really showcase that, anything is possible. And you are literally nurturing, as you said, these future dancers from their childhood on. It's very amazing. Now, talking about, teaching dance, you guys actually partnered with George Brown Dance, and some of the audience might not know about this partnership. So do you mind sharing how this partnership come about and how you are benefiting the community with this?
Well, I mean, I have to say a huge thank you to George Brown College. They invited me to become resident choreographer here at George Brown College in 1989, just 2 years after I started Canada's Ballet Jörgen. And in 1992, we basically partnered up with George Brown to deliver all of their professional post-secondary programs. So since 1992, we worked in partnership to provide training for many of the same students that start in local dance schools, and then when they turn 18 and they need more professional training to finish off, they come here and then continue on to professional careers. So it's part of the chain, sort of the evolution. But most importantly for us is George Brown is a great partner, and they are of course focused on education. So that has helped us as we have tried to build a stronger education profile to have a great partner. And we're still partnering all these years later. And George Brown Dance, which is the official name of the partnership, is going strong. And even during the pandemic, we're able to continue to train dancers both live and online. And I'm very grateful for the support of George Brown College when it comes to the art, but of course specifically for dance and for Canada's Ballet Organ.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you actually mentioned, and this is bringing us to the next segue in terms of, how have been the dancers training throughout the pandemic, and, what else have you guys been doing through the pandemic? I personally have witnessed, the home show, which was just absolutely blowing my mind. It was so much fun to watch, your dancers performing in their home and creating that story. At the same time, it was amazing to see Amanda Martinez's Estaba Cayendo, that, you guys were actually the dancers in that video, which is beautiful. At the same time, you guys created also the pandemic short version of Anne of Green Gables, which is my last performance that I've seen on stage. And I can tell that, the tears were flowing. It was just absolutely beautiful. And at the same time, as you mentioned, you have been teaching through Instagram live classes, ballet to audiences. So I mean, it doesn't seem to end. You guys seem to be on and on and on and giving. So tell us more about this.
Well, I mean, we're fortunate because we are literally what you would call a traditional touring company, which means we're used to working in different circumstances every day in different parts of the country, different venues, different studios. So with the pandemic, for us, obviously it was difficult, just like it's been for everyone else, but it was really just a matter of adopting to a new set of realities that we had to work in. And they were initially quite difficult because, of course, we weren't able to have the dancers in the studio or in the theater, so they had to work from their own homes. But they continued working, and so we just really shifted everything we did to an online version, and we had to create from home, and the dancers did. Since August, we have been able to work in the studio, so we have spent really first we had to get the dancers back in shape, because even though they were working from home, it's just the restrictions to what they can physically do, and so they got a little bit out of shape, particularly when it comes to really big difficult things and partnering and all of that. But since August, they have been working together and building up their strength. And I would say that since really beginning of October, we've been back fully creating and delivering works under whatever restrictions we live with, and they keep changing, obviously, as everyone knows. But the fortunate part for us is we're so used to changing every day, so it wasn't hard for us to adapt to that reality. And right now, we're obviously waiting for a better scenario, but we are returning to live programming in those areas of Canada that is allowed, and we're really pleased to put together a program that allows us to do that safely. And of course, we are developing a lot of new works, and a lot of it for online. And we are developing some really fun, funky works. Stay tuned, is all I can say. Some of it is very serious, as it should be, and some of it is just fun, because life is everything. It's not, sometimes it's big serious stuff, and sometimes it's just having fun. And dance is such a great language. We can say anything and have a lot of fun with it. So we're trying to do both. We're trying to both push the boundaries on new works that would be the kind of things that you would expect a ballet company to do, but you're also going to see us, as we release more and more work, some stuff that you probably would never think we would be up to doing. But we're having a lot of fun and adapting. But we certainly are hoping that we can get back to more live programming as the province here in Ontario comes out of it, and other provinces, because we do normally deliver programming in every single province across Canada, and we are ready. So depending upon what community, what province, where we're at with restrictions, etc., we're ready. And so we'll be able to swing back as soon as we can.
I love it. And actually, I know that just recently you guys performed with 4 performances in North Bay and it was live streamed. So you really pivoted. You not only were reaching the local audience, but really pretty much anybody and everybody globally. So I know that you hinted that a few more things are in the coming, but do you mind sharing maybe something, what we can expect?
Well, I mean, we are working on several new works, and you saw a few of those premiered, or parts of those works premiered in North Bay, and it was wonderful for our dancers to be back on stage. You know, we love the live performing aspect because it's very different than performing for a camera. But you're right, you know, we were also able to live stream it, so we reached people that normally would not have been able to see the performance. And as part of that, we did premiere 4 new works, and some of them were just part of the new works. So we're basically working on several major works that will be premiering as we go along. And we will also be starting some new works that we've been meaning to do, but we just haven't had the time to do. So the pandemic provides us with the opportunity to kind of get on with stuff that we should get on with, but we don't always have the time to do. You know, and we'll be releasing a new Christmas jingle. So, you know, probably something we never would have done normally, but now we're just finding new ways of adapting to the reality. So yes, we will even have a Christmas jingle come out very soon for everyone to enjoy. Santa's elves will be dancing for you.
Can't wait to see it. That's amazing. And right now, even right now as we speak, the 12 days of the Nutcracker are running, and you know that's a t-shirt that you're wearing as well. You guys started with day 1 last Monday, and today we are on day 7 with the chipmunks and the squirrels and Mother Spruce, and I can't wait to see what else is coming about. It's real fun, and I'm glad that you know you guys are really finding ways to bring dance to audiences, which again brings us to the next question. So now that times are changing and times are very different, I should say, what do you think? How does the future of ballet look like, and what do you think about the training as well, how that needs to be adopted?
That's a really tough question to answer. Not necessarily just from the COVID point, but I think ballet has been in a period of transition, and it is, in my opinion, a great period for us because ballet has always changed over times. You know, it goes back several hundred years, and many times people said ballet is dead, and it just came roaring back. And I think we're in a period now where people are reevaluating what ballet can actually do and what it can say, which is right up our alley because we believe classical ballet is a beautiful language, but we think of ballet just as a language, a great way to communicate. And some people think of ballet as sort of an aesthetic and a cultural heritage. And that heritage and that aesthetic is, you know, we're leaving that behind. But, you know, we left, you know, Countess Ballet Jörgen left that behind a long time ago. That's not what we're about. We're using the beauty of the language to communicate to people that live and you know, are in our communities today. So that doesn't concern us. What we're really interested in is to get more people to look at the language that we think of as a language to tell all sorts of stories, including reenacting classics, but doing it in such a way that it is a little bit more engaging, you know, and a little bit more fun too. I think that's the key part. Ballet is beautiful, but sometimes it gets very serious and it gets a little long and a little repetitive. But that's just the way we're using the language because that was created for another time and place. Today, you know, well, you know, people are online all the time, and you know, people like to see things in 30 seconds or less, and ballet is having to adapt. But that's not a problem, you know, because ballet itself is very adaptable. So I think that we are in a place where some organizations will push forward and deploy ballet in a way that will be really meaningful to people. And as such, you know, coming to the training, ballet, again, people have sometimes, you know, focused on the aesthetics of ballet over the actual underlying technique. And we think the ballet is much more broad and much more inclusive than the aesthetics sometimes have led us. And I think that as times are changing around the world on a social front, that is just perfect for us to see a willingness to look at ballet dancers with much more openness, that they don't have to look exactly a certain way, whether that be by color or by shape. You know, it's the aesthetics that has kind of in some ways locked ballet and ballet companies into a room. And I think that the key is there for everyone to open that door and let the art form flourish with new values around it. And I think that's where we're going, and certainly that's where we're going to go. And if people want to follow us, they can come, and if they don't, well, they can maybe discover another part of ballet that we're not thinking of. Either way, I think you're going to see, if people are willing and daring, a redeployment of ballet as a really contemporary art form.
I love it. And you know what? Again, this again shows, how you're really thinking outside of the box all the time and creating new and new opportunities. And I absolutely love, what you guys are putting out there and you have been putting out there in the past as well. And what you just, vocalize that you really, really, really want to support anyone and everyone who's interested in ballet. And that includes also dancers who don't necessarily have, the typical ballet shape, but yet, they have the technique and the want to actually bring the ballet to everyone else as well. So that's amazing. Now, because you are giving so much and you are supporting so many in many, many ways, how can we support you? So why don't you tell us more about why fundraising, especially in the current era of COVID, is important, but also how anyone can support you at this point?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, obviously, we are like any arts organization, always desperate for money. It doesn't matter whatever situation. But COVID is certainly for us, because Canada's Ballet Organ, we earn a lot more money from the box office than many organizations do. So that is usually, what helps drive our organization. So today we are, obviously very dependent on our donor base, and so they're keeping us alive more than anything else. And we have not laid off our dancers. So we're really proud of the fact that we have continued to operate. And even though our major source of income, performance fees and ticket sales, are currently not available to us, we are able somehow to make all of this work because people are making donations. And in some cases, people don't have a lot of money. We're happy if somebody gives us $10, we recognize that people have different means and resources, and it's an inspiration to us when people are, it's not just the dollar amounts, it's the fact that people are willing to value what we do to try to help us get through this. So, it's not just about how much money. Obviously, we love when people give us more money because that obviously makes a difference to paying the dancers. But it's also just the commitment of people willing to help us out that inspires us. So, donations is a big part. Volunteerism, helping promote us in the sense that spread the word about us. I mean, I find that the biggest challenge we have is that even though we perform all across the country, we are not performing always in the biggest media markets, or we're not always getting the same kind of press as others get. So people don't always know that we're around. So for us, it's very important that people know what we do. So one way people can help us is to share what, our communications, or let people know. Help build our brand. And that is critical as we're coming out of this as well, because ultimately Canada's Ballet Organ has grown out of the community. We've always been supported by the community. It's always been the primary resource for us, and it's going to continue to be that, whether it be, people joining our education programs, or coming to buy tickets, or donating money, or sharing, on social media what we do. It all comes back one way or another to help strengthen us, or motivate us, or keep us going. So whatever people can do in their own ways to support us, we really, really appreciate it.
That's amazing. And you really deserve every bit of support and every bit of appreciation, because, what you and your dancers are doing is just really, really unprecedented. So,
Thank you.
I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity for giving back just by spreading the word. But in case, someone wants to find out more about your ballet company, or specifically, any links and so on, how to, support you also financially, what's the best way to get hold of either, your team? Can you share that, please?
The easiest is obviously to go onto our website, canadasballetorgan.ca, and we have all the information there, or just contact us on social media, Facebook or Twitter, and we'll get back to you. Trust me, we will get back. If you have a comment, if you want to get in touch with us, any of the platforms, will get back to you. We're not that big of an organization, and we love to talk to people. And when we talk to people, it also helps us because it teaches us or gives us information about what people are thinking about, and so we can calibrate our art form to be more responsive to what the people that care about us think and want and need. So it's an important dialogue for us.
Perfect. Ben, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate everything that you are doing and that you took the time to share a little bit about more as to, you know, your journey, but also what the future holds for you and the company. And I can't wait to witness the Christmas jingle now that you mentioned about it.
Yes, look out for the Christmas jingle. It goes live on December 23rd. You will have a lot of fun seeing it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.